Everyone, I've got a bit of a hodgepodge show for you, just a lot going on and across a lot of different things. We're a week away from the presidential election in the United States. Lots of stuff happening down there. And well, I wanted to show you kind of internationally, this person put together graphs about masks and mask use around the world. It says, let's take a brief journey into the success or lack thereof of masks in preventing the spread of coronavirus. Come with me, and he doesn't say COVID-19, coronavirus, right? Come with me on a tour of the wonderful world of mask mandates and their result. Here is a preview of our journey, right? And it's all the lines overlaid on top of each other. And it breaks it down by each line. It says, first up is Austria. It was one of the first to require masks, and it did so about 10 days after its cases began to go down. The downtrend with masks did not change. After wearing masks for 6 months, cases are now 4 times what they were when they were mandating masks and climbing. So isn't that interesting, right? If masks work, why is this the trend? And it's the trend everywhere, right? Here's the big requires masks, and that was in April, and now fast forward to October, and the cases are going skyrocketing. Cases, right? If that's all you cared about, cases. So same as everywhere, right? Same as absolutely everywhere. Look at that curve in the United Kingdom, right? And they were late on the masks. They were saying no, and then mid-July, right? In Guelph, it was July 12th, I believe, that they were mandated. So Belgium, right? Same curve. All over the world. Very interesting thread. Here is our data, and I'm so frustrated with our data, and so I've made my own data. But the source is this data, okay? So I've got my source from here, and I'll show you this, but currently there are 312 hospitalized, 75 in the ICU, and 52 on a ventilator, okay? And that's nowhere near our capacity, right? 3,800 vents, I believe we currently have in Ontario. But here's my visualization. This is daily testing, okay? So the test, and you can scroll on this and it'll give you the daily total. So the daily total there is 27,664 and so on and so forth. And so this is why I was late. I was building this morning. I was like, I'm sick, I'm tired of, because it's very hard to make sense of these numbers when they change daily. So I'm gonna have this as a benchmark, and I'll update it regularly because these are relatively not that difficult to update and maintain, so I'll keep that up to date. But right now it is up to date to the 28th, and today is the 28th. And like the majority of the deaths happened before July, right? And since July 15th, from 2,700 to now 3,100. And not to say that these deaths don't matter. I would question why we're not using the treatments that are proving effective. So this is the same graph with the test numbers removed so you can zoom in, and then this is the same graph with the death numbers removed so you could zoom in. I'm not so fancy to be able to click things on and off, so I apologize, but this serves the same purpose. So this is number of patients in hospital with COVID-19, number of ICU patients or people on vent. So you can scroll in and see, right, 245 with COVID-19 hospitalized, and then on a vent is 195 on April 25th, right? And then fast forward to now, we've got 43 in hospital and 26 on a vent, or on the 28th, it's 71 in hospital and 51 on a vent. Is this an emergency? Here's Justin Trudeau yesterday, and I'm only going to show about 30 seconds, but this is him talking about this very professionally.
We are in an unprecedented global pandemic that really sucks. It's tough going through this second wave. It's frustrating having shut down all of us, our lives through the spring, and now be forced to make more difficult choices and knowing that it's going to be a tough winter ahead as well. It's easy for us to want to throw up our hands. I think we have to ask ourselves who we really are as Canadians. Are we really good neighbors? And it's frustrating.
Here he goes into, are we really good neighbors? When the data looks like this and is this, it's really hard to believe that we're in the midst of a global pandemic, right? Where's the care for the balance? Where's the care for the cancer patients, the collateral damage? This was an interesting thing. This is from a British newspaper, and we're going to look at what's happening in Britain because it's interesting. But it says, ministers stoked fear to justify lockdowns, says Lord Sumpton. Right? A former Supreme Court judge will today accuse the government of propaganda and stoking fear in order to justify COVID-19 lockdowns. Lord Sumpton will say the government has been able to impose draconian measures on the public by instilling fear about the dangers of the virus. This is United Kingdom, but Interesting, right? Interesting. And he's telling us something that we can easily verify is not true, right? This virus sucks. Why does it suck, Justin? Because your governments are locking people down. It has nothing to do with anything else. And here's news from the UK further. Tories are revolting, thank God, says Dame Alan Roberts. He's just a Twitter guy, so I don't know if he's a dame or not. It says, Boris facing revolt. A northern revolt as 50 Tory MPs demand lockdown exit map. People are saying, what are the criteria here? What do we want? What could you possibly want, right? Zero positive tests, right? Well, that's not positive, or that's not possible with a test that has false positives at the rate that the tests have false positives, right? So the UK Parliament is saying, no way, buddy. We're not just giving you a free pass. We believed you at the beginning, but we've got months of data now, and we do, and it's public. And you can see it. And you can see that what he's saying is not true. Don't believe your lying eyes, citizen. Don't believe it. Here's Anthony Furey, and he says, it's been over 5 weeks since Ontario released their updated modeling, and we are still coming in lower than their low-end estimates, right? Capacity is way up here. We're way down here, right? And like, this graph means next to nothing. Like, it means nothing. Without little divots there between the 0 and the 100, I mean, it could be anything, right? 98. 82. I don't know. What does it look like? What does the red one look like starting off? Why do they start at different spots? Right? Like, what are their starting points? Useless, right? Absolutely useless. These graphs go all the way back to 0 in the beginning of the year, 26th of July. And isn't this interesting, right? Boom. We got a whole bunch of people in the hospital on COVID-19 one day. Bam. It's crazy, right? Wild. 152, right? And then 260 right away. And we haven't ever seen those numbers again. Right? It's something to question. It's something to question. And apparently it's against, it's not patriotic to question that. Don't question your lying eyes, citizen. Just believe me, we're in the middle of a global pandemic and Christmas is in jeopardy, says Trudeau. The government, or the COVID-19 pandemic really sucks and Christmas is now in jeopardy, Trudeau warns. I wouldn't put you through listening to 2 full minutes of Justin Trudeau. I couldn't do that. You know, I used to watch Doc Martin before it gave me PTSD. Somebody's always going to get hurt. Always going to get hurt. I feel like when he sees blood, right? He was a surgeon and he got an aversion to blood. Here's the NDP's response. I find it interesting that the NDP tries to make political hay out of this and doesn't try to fix the problem. Like, doesn't try to say, like, can we work to reduce the rent to where it previously was? What are the reasons for the rent? I have a feeling the reasons for the rent are insurance. I think it's insurance. Oh, you're running a daycare? Well, that's going to be costly, right? Here's Jagmeet Singh talking about the Canadian government increasing the rent of a daycare to the point where the daycare has to shut down.
Tunney's Pasture is a daycare center in Ottawa. It's not for profit. Their landlord recently increased the rent to $14,000 a month, forcing this daycare to close. But here's the clincher. Guess who the landlord is? The Government of Canada. Now, it is unbelievable that a government would allow this to happen. You know what really sucks is when your daycare center shuts down in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah. Will the Prime Minister admit that his words on childcare were again just empty promises?
I think it's funny that Mr. Singh is trying to hold him account. Like, it's pantomime, right? He could hold him account. He could say, you don't do what you say you're going to do. You break your promises, and we'd really like to see those documents, please. We're going to vote with these guys, right? And bring down the government and hold him accountable in that way. And will he get a majority? Well, the sweep of those 2 seats in downtown Toronto, maybe. But this person, it's Jagmeet Singh, and he's talking about water boil advisories and $900 million for students disappears with a WE scandal. He could hold the government accountable for this. He could say no further. This far and no further. You will supply those documents and help us understand your absolutely crazy spending, or we'll go to an election and we will hammer you on it on an election. Except that these opposition parties are incompetent. They're not even willing to hammer the Trudeau government on anything at any point anyway, not really, because they're willing to vote with the Trudeau government, right? And it's incredible. It's incredible what happens. But it wouldn't matter it almost wouldn't matter anyway if you've been paying attention. Recently there was a motion that passed and then government was prorogued, even though it was passed and they were said you have to give these documents over. They never got the documents. and they were trying to pass the same order again, but this happened. The Bloc MP claims its MP voted with the Liberals to shut down the motion due to a translation problem when, during the Ethics Committee, shut down the efforts to get the speaking contracts from we. And that's not an accident, right? Like, so first I want to say, if the NDP want to vote against something, then the Bloc will help the Liberals, right? And vice versa. And the other thing is, Naomi says, this is why the BQ MP, Julie Vinola, Deputy de Beaumont, oh my goodness, that was terrible. Anyway, voted for the Liberals. It's about the recent Fed's FAT contract to Medicago, to purchase redundant vaccines, and the mega lab being built at Beauport Limoilou. Sorry, I got that wrong. I've definitely got that wrong. Makes sense now? So there's a plant being built in this MP's riding, and she's making sure that that plant stays getting built and doesn't get too much scrutiny, because the scrutiny would maybe put it in jeopardy. Like all the Liberals have been saying, if you ask us to give these documents, it will be in jeopardy. It will be a danger to you. You might not get those vaccines, right? So, you know, who's to believe? Who knows what to believe these days? Here is another UK bit of news that ties in nicely with Canadian news. It says, we're witnessing a growing revolt against the coronavirus lockdowns. Many people think that the rules won't work and are prepared to defy the law if necessary to see their loved ones. It's time to get Britain back to normal, written by a Labour minister. And you can have a check. Check that out, links in the description. Here is Anthony Furey, a bit closer to home. Civil disobedience has begun in Quebec, with 200 fitness centers saying they will reopen on Thursday in defiance of laws unless Legault can prove without a doubt that they're causing outbreaks. And closer in Toronto, says Anthony Furey again, Good Life Fitness has just sent out an e-blast to its Ontario members urging them to petition their MPP and Doug Ford to reopen gyms once this 28-day closure period is complete, and to not reissue the shutdown for another round. I think that these guys have the right idea. Civil disobedience is the only way to go. Why not open? I mean, like if Good Life opens and calls all of the competing gyms and says, you know what, we're opening, and we're going to fight it in court, you've got something, because the government's not going to just let us do this. And it's unbelievable that we're at this point. It's unbelievable that there are companies in Quebec that are saying this far and no further. It's unbelievable that there are companies that it look like they're teetering with that idea. It look like they're saying, you know, we need our members to really help us, but you guys have got to lead. You got to say, listen, we are safe. We're a safe place to come. We've been following the guidelines, and there's no evidence that transmission has been a root cause from our industry. Here's another one. The strippers. Strippers Advocacy Group seeks judicial review of Ontario strip club closure. It's about basic charter rights, right? And oftentimes, having a group of people litigate, this isn't ideal. People aren't like, yeah, let's get a lawyer and take on the government, right? Like this isn't something you do lightly, right? Like this is out of desperation. So it's interesting because they're using the Constitution and saying like this goes against our basic rights. They say the group argues that the measures impact strippers' charter rights to freedom of expression and association in a safe and secure environment, and their right to work freely in their chosen environment. I mean, the same can be said about opening the businesses, right? Like, is this a fair? I don't know if fair comes into it, but are these numbers scary enough to warrant people fearful and staying in their houses? And if they're not scary enough, do we need fines to make sure that businesses don't open to entice people to come out? And if people come out and do business and the world goes back to normal, how is that a bad thing? How is getting our economy at least functioning again and letting small business and mom and pop shops open up and start business again bad? How is letting restaurants and bars and all of that, again, you can't trace it back. You can't, the science they've got and all of the other stuff that has been publicly seen to justify the current lockdown, the restaurant lockdown in Markham or Peel, York, Peel, Halton, Ottawa, Toronto, I think I got them all there, is just not there. So, I mean, what do you do? Do you just sit there and say, well, I guess we're not an international multinational company and we unfortunately chose to build our business in downtown Toronto, so I guess that we're going to go bankrupt? Do you just sit there and do that? Is that justifiable to you? Looking at this, is that justifiable to you? I just can't imagine. And I can't imagine Doug Ford looking at these numbers, because this is important. Like, these numbers are important. These are a bellwether. And maybe if we were at like the top of capacity and stuff, you could say, man, we really got to dig down and figure out what's happening. But I've got to say, we've got to drill down and figure out why our politicians are lying to us, why the news media is enthusiastically embracing the lies told by the politicians, and why do strippers have an advocacy group, but like regular people who just want to live their lives and be left alone by the draconian government don't? Why is that? Why don't we have somebody we can call and say, you know what, you got to tell that Doug Ford guy. We need a better way to protest in Ontario. I think rolling protests might work. I saw somebody saying like people are parking on the side and maybe we could do this. I saw when I was younger, there were truckers who shut down the 401. There were 4 across, and then a bunch of them would drive ahead and slow the 401 right down to crawling, and then they'd honk their horns or whatever. And then they figured they'd make the news or whatever. Something like that, maybe that might work. But I don't know what will get the attention of the people who can clearly see this data and who just don't care. Ontario is adding 766 new hospital beds across the province. Yay. But we're at the capacity. COVID-19. Scary medical crisis. This article sounds more like an election platform than having to do with anything to do with COVID-19 cases. They mentioned like there's a name check of COVID-19 a bunch, but it seems like more to do with campaigning than and cutting down wait times. Like wait times are checked here too. We've got to get those wait times down. Doug, if the nurses give me cut eye because I walk in there with a mask and the cancer screenings aren't happening, you've got bigger problems than the wait times, man. Seriously. And cut eye, I think, would be the least of my problems. They'd probably throw me out and tell me I'm not allowed to be served. And that's, I've heard that's fact. And that's unbelievable. They're spending more money, more tax dollars to shove advertisement down your throat. Feds launch new ad campaign reminding Canadians of COVID-19 basics. Yeah. I wish that they would just not spend the money on that. I don't like the government money spent on ads. The proof should be in the pudding. And the pudding that Justin Trudeau and his merry band of people who are currently in the government has put together has been disappointing, to say the least. Here is Calgary downtown core will be hit hard by job cuts from Cenovus Husky merger. So I said yesterday I was surprised by the ownership. And, well, I can't say I'm surprised by this move. If they've got assets in other places, developing your assets in Canada at this point in time, Bill C-69 is a fool's errand. You'd be foolish, absolutely foolish to do it. Here is the CBC News. We've been talking about this housing plan that the Liberals have, and the housing plan that the Liberals have seems expensive and asinine. It seems stupid. Federal government announces the launch of a rapid housing initiative, allocating $1 billion to create 3,000 new affordable homes. And, well, that's $333,000 roughly per home. And that seems like a lot of money, right? Like it seems like it doesn't seem like a good way to spend spend $1 billion, right? $1 billion divided by 3,000, right? So $333,000 per domicile. That seems expensive, right? What's the plan here? Is this a sustainable plan? When does it end? Right? Like what's the plan? $203 million for Toronto. Montreal gets $56 million. This does not seem, because these amounts, if you're trying to solve homelessness, that's one problem. But there are a lot of other issues that go along with homelessness that aren't solved by giving somebody a house or a place to live, especially not a $333,000 home that, well, with better policies, you could realistically solve this problem without spending this money and let the market take care of it. But honestly, it seems very communist. It seems like the way that they're going to purchase the property in the dense cities, and they're going to have the municipalities applying to do it all by themselves, right? Like, here's the money that we want to purchase these properties, and you guys purchase it and run the little programs, because they're going to have to it'll be support programs, right? And other things. And then cities will try and say, oh, well, we're doing this, and we'll try and pack this in here. And it's just wrong-headed. It is the wrong way to solve this problem. This is awful as well. National Post is reporting MPs, members of parliament, so this is federal, amend judge sex assault training bill to add systemic racism training, sparking new concerns. They're training our judges in critical race theory. They're training our judges. Let me say that again, in critical race theory. If you don't know what critical race theory is, please go to CanadaReport.co and check out all videos in this series. It's just an unbelievable abomination. It's racism. It is packaged up racism made for dummies to implement on willing participants. And it is absolutely catastrophic to be allowing a board of education to be teaching children this as fact. It is unbelievable that every single person at the Upper Grand District School Board is going along with this. It's just unbelievable. And they all know about it. Every single one of them knows about it. I know about that. For sure. Definitely. So it's just unbelievable. This is not helpful. Understatement of the day. Okay, Jason Kennedy saying the facts are clear. Health spending was increased, not cut. Alberta has the largest health budget in our province's history. I don't know what... Jason Kennedy confuses me. I don't know what his game is. I don't know what his game is. There's a game. He's playing it. I don't know what it is. I have no idea what it is. But pandering, politics, I don't know. I don't trust him. Slimy. I get the wrong feeling from him, right? Like it's like Doug Ford. I don't know. It's like the obvious answer is on the table and you can just pick it up. And instead they walk over and do a speech to the desk. And you're like, what are you doing? Why are you talking about that now? Like this press release. Hold on, I'll show you. It says Premier Ford said an additional $116.5 million would be earmarked to increase hospital capacity while reducing wait times. Like, have you been paying attention? This just seems nuts. Just seems like, anyway. HBC sues landlord of Yorkdale Square One, claiming failure to run first-class malls. Yeah, I think the only way out of this is business, but I'm worried that the whole system is just going to collapse in on itself, right? You can't get blood from a stone. You can't get money from a bankrupt business, right? Or not enough to sustain you. And so, people are looking to blame somebody. I think that we need to just open up. We need to open the economy. Tell these people, open the economy. Like, open it. Go. Open it. And stop telling people to be afraid. There's nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. Right? Fear getting a test. All of these people getting the super long thing in their nose, I fear that way more than COVID-19. Here's some international trade. A Biden win won't fix everything in Canada's trade relationship with the U.S., experts say. Right. Do you guys remember? Oh, here it is. Trump signs proclamation to officially exempt Canada from aluminum tariffs. For now, right? And the aluminum tariffs were taken off, and then Trudeau dumped aluminum into the States again, and then Trump said, don't do that, and stopped us, and here we are again, right? And backed off as soon as Canada put together the response, 6 or 7 hours before Canada was set to announce their response, Trump said, oh yeah, I'll just repeal that, that's fine, no problem. But I think that it's interesting, it's worth noting, the editorialization of the media, not picking up on any of the Biden controversy, not picking up on the Hunter Biden emails, not picking up on the China distraction, not picking up on the big October surprise. And make no mistake, that's a big October surprise. The Chinese billionaires are still dropping hourly pictures from Hunter Biden's laptop. Like, they're dropping it in a controlled, well thought out way. And they're doing that on purpose. And that's news too. And these guys aren't covering it. It's very interesting, right? Like, why wouldn't they cover it? Canadian news, is that neutered, right? Like, it's very, very interesting. The terrible rallies that Biden's been having, the mental fog, the just unbelievable campaign that we've seen. It's been unbelievable. Trump's numbers are historic. Presidents don't get numbers like that. When Barack Obama was making numbers like that, when in his heyday in 2008, Barack Obama was very, very popular. He could do a Trump rally, but I don't think that he could have done the sustained rallies that Trump has done consistently all through his presidency. And Trump is like a lot older than Obama, right? Obama was in his 40s when he was first president, wasn't he? I thought he was anyway. But regardless, the the energy that Mr. Trump is showing is incredible. The energy of his crowds is incredible. And these guys are like, oh yeah, a Biden win might help with trade. It would not. I mean, except for the fact that they're all on this, the Democrats and the current leadership in Canada are all on the same page. And what does that tell you? Democrat cities have been burned down by Antifa, while mayors stand by in hopes that that will make people hate Trump. I mean, how does that make people hate Trump? Trump was trying to fix it the whole time. It's a very interesting. It's worth noting what the newspaper ignores, and they're ignoring a lot in favor of saying, "Oh, maybe this will help our trade relationship with the United States." Nope, not going to do anything. It's very interesting. This makes me angry. This makes me angry. The City of Barrie is asking residents to pay their respects from home or virtually for Remembrance Day. Follow the advice of the health unit. No public ceremony will be hosted at the cenotaph. These guys were fighting for freedom, right? For the country. And where are we, right? Like, are we in a communist country under the boot of some dictator, unable to go and celebrate the history that makes us who we are? Is the answer to that just simply yes? Like, is the answer to that, suck it up, citizen, deal with it? Like, you're not allowed to celebrate the sacrifices made at the altar of freedom by your grandfathers and your forefathers for the country? It is inappropriate. It is inappropriate. I said to Mr. Hillier, I said, maybe the thing to organize in defiance of Doug Ford is a Remembrance Day ceremony with pipers and cadets, and get people there. I mean, jeepers creepers, lest we forget, and we are forgetting. We are hiding in our houses, under our beds, cowering like Joe Biden in his basement, right? And instead of looking at, like, looking, right? You don't even have to be brave. You have to just let other people look and make their own choice. You don't have to be brave. You can stay home if you want to. You can use COVID-19 as your excuse if you want to. I don't care, but let other people look and make their own choice. Holy cow. What kind of world do we live in, right? Under the boot of a draconian dictator. This is another big story, totally ignored. Tony, I can't remember, Bobulinski. I think that was better than I was expecting. This whole interview, go watch that. Wow, that's nuts. October surprise. This is like Hunter Biden's emails, and this is the connection. This is the bridge to Joe Biden, right? So if Hunter Biden was using the Biden name and Joe was selling the Biden name, and this guy's the bridge to that, that's big news too. That's way bigger news than, the maybe trade advantage that Biden would give Canada that doesn't really exist, in my opinion. So we're in a situation where the news is actively trying to just lull you to sleep. And if you're looking around at all, you know that things aren't nearly what they're telling you that they are, right? If you're looking at all. But a lot of people aren't looking. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com. Check out CanadaReport.co. Check out SpeakingMoistly.co. Greg and I talked about a bunch of stuff yesterday. It was a lot of fun. And this is the link is in the description, but it's just on CanadaReport.co. I'll put it up in the menu when I get a spare minute. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful